Let's talk about time travel.
Oh yes.
I
Can
know
we use it
I'm-
to stop this all?
Yeah, maybe. Well, some say that Trump has the ability to time travel.
Yeah, because of his uncle, right? You've heard that
Yep,
whole story.
John Trump.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys know this. President Trump's uncle basically got all of Tesla's stuff,
Yeah.
all of his experiments, his
government.
books, back in the 50s, I think. It was
Yeah.
like early 1952, I believe. I don't remember exactly the date, but he acquired it all, and that's where the trail ends.
Well, so they stole a lot of Tesla's papers to the Aliens Act, which was an illegal seizure. But at the end of the 70s, everything else was stolen right out from under him that he'd privately worked on too.
From who?
From Tesla's apartment in New York City.
Yeah.
Military operation, but it was taken to MIT, and at MIT they had to figure out who's the best scientist in America that
Yeah.
they could use, and it was obviously Uncle Trump. So John was like, if you want to look him up, like look up X-ray videos that he made, because there's hour-long talks he was giving on all of his vacuum tube technologies that he was working on for X-raying specifically, but not just for medicinal X-rays. That was just where the money was coming from to do some of the
Interesting.
research. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So, and there's this also a conspiracy theory that Barron Trump, President Trump's youngest son, is actually from the past or has gone into the past. What's the story about Barron Trump? I know you know this
Okay,
one.
so this is there's a multitude of ways to look at this, but basically the way I've come to understand it is that there are simultaneously a number of past, presents, and futures, right? And some of these converge with each other.
Yeah.
So I did an episode you can actually check out on my channel, an interview with Cynthia Sue Larson from the IMEC, which is the International Mandela Effect Conference, and she's been into this since Art Bell back in the 90s. There's an idea of collective misremembrances, but the idea would have been that there are multiple realities that and imagine it like this: if you could take a recording of how the sun blew up that caused the Big Bang that we're from, could you in another star system recreate it to an effect that it basically happened again? And so if you can imagine subatomic particles realigning, you would have moments, there's spaces, time spaces that look like this one but are different. So Barron Trump could be in a multitude of realities.
Well, it's interesting. Check this book out. So this is I just typed this up randomly, and it's 2 books too.
Right.
And I know you know about the other one. This is his son, Barron Trump, and this is the drawing on the cover of Time Travel. This is not the original cover. Where is it?
Baron von Trump. That's the last president.
Well, here's the other book.
And
the last. Do you have this book?
I have it read out by my voice, my robot voice. I sent you at one point.
Oh yeah. I know that. I know that one.
You guys got to hear that book read to you. It's incredible.
Pretty incredible. So anyway, the whole reason we're talking about time travel is because of this article. All right, Time Machine Prototype shows how laser-powered journeys back in time could happen.
Right.
This is cool. Check this out. Sci-fi has thought of a myriad of contraptions to catapult folks backwards through time. A tricked-out phone booth that's bigger on the inside, swirling portals that appear out of nowhere, an 82 DeLorean that first needs to get to 88 miles per hour. But what about lasers? Physicist and UConn professor Ron Millett believes that it could at least be possible someday. Motivated at a young age by the untimely loss of his father, Millett became fascinated with science fiction and always wished to find a way to travel back in time. H.G. Wells' The Time Machine forever changed his life. Now he's created a prototype time machine that shows how laser beaming lights in circles could literally turn the clock back. By studying the type of gravitational fields that was produced by a ring laser, this could lead to a new way of looking at the possibility of a time machine based on a circulating beam of light, Millett told CNN. Eventually, a circulating beam of light of laser lights could act as a sort of time machine and cause a twisting of light that would allow you to go back into the past. Space is already being bent by the gravity exerted from every single object that exists in the universe. That is Einstein's theory of general relativity at work. When you add everything together, it's as if the gravitational force from a behemoth mass out there is pulling on space. Pull hard enough, and you could, at least theoretically, twist space and time. Both will end up twisted because whatever happens to space also happens to time. Einstein called it space-time for that reason. Here is where it gets freaky. Say you did twist space and simultaneously twisted time by doing so, Millett thinks that by using a ring laser to twist time into a loop, you could fast forward or rewind over and over again. While the laws of physics always seem to get in the way when theorizing about backwards time travel, there is nothing to say it is impossible. Sound familiar? Enter the wormhole. If you are a fan of science fiction, you probably have seen someone get sucked through a wormhole or a hypothetical tunnel in space that is a shortcut from one region of space-time to another. Think of how John Creighton's spaceship flew into one and ended up innumerably light years away from Earth in Farscape. The thing is, opening up a wormhole isn't even easy in theory. Even an atomic bomb does not have the energy to drive a time machine. For a time machine, you need the energy of an exploding star. City University of New York physicist and professor Michio Kaku, who also acknowledges that Einstein's theory allows for time travel, told Closer to Truth in a video interview. There was a crack even in Millett's theoretical time machine. While information should be effectively zapped back in time, it can only go as far as the point in which you turned the machine on. Bummer. The thing is, because physics is so weird, there might still be a loophole hiding somewhere in the time loop. Millett is determined to fund real-life experiments with an actual laser as soon as he can. It's probably really expensive. If he can so much as prove that there is a rewind button in the fabric of space-time, it will be a tremendous breakthrough. Until then, check out the very real DeLorean that might not be able to go back in time but can drive itself through unbelievable twists and turns. And it's just a bunch of different Farscape scenes.
Right.
But that is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's interesting. It's literally what we were talking about a second ago about star fabrication in order to create reset moments. And there are algorithms that we can use right now to take a video or a film, and we look behind it, and we can see through the math. The people filming the camera, we can actually record and see in the light enough data to get a recording of what was behind the film.
Interesting.
And you can look at some actor's face, and they can see, with the right software, who was there filming it and what their hat was like. So,
but isn't that just the film like taking in the light?
Right. Taking in the light.
Right.
So if we're using that same idea and we can do multiple metrics of subatomic particles and how they're forming and breaking down at CERN, and the Hadron Collider is one of many. I mean, there's ones from the 70s. There's one in China. The Soviet Union has two. Or I'm sorry, the Russian Federation. But there is but there definitely is a number of linear accelerators which can be used, and the idea that space is a perfect vacuum is flawed. I mean, obviously there's a lot up there. So these ideas of wormholes, I mean, what they are has a lot more to do with density and stars imploding on themselves. Right. We've got better vacuums, though, down here on Earth. We're able to create a vacuum that's more vacuumous than space. So we're able to
space that we know about.
Space that we know about.
Right, because we only exist in this small little marble.
Right.
In this ever expanding sea of stars.
But theoretically, create a Dyson sphere, shoot a laser from a star at another star, and then send that data, explode that star, start a sequence down again, and we would recreate the steps it took to create our universe. And
or blow ourselves up and end the universe as we know it.
There are feedback loops that we need to predict, but if we're doing this and we have the right kind of math to do it, then theoretically, far enough away in space, we should be able to duplicate ourselves.
There's a point though where this kind of feels like we're toying with the fabrics of.
We are literally toying. That's the word.
I know. Yeah, that's why I used that word. It's like we're playing around, and we could just end the universe.
Well, that's why we're careful. So the idea is to have backup systems. So I don't know if you've seen Primer. I guess we haven't. Everyone watched the 7,000.
Hold on. You said that's why we're careful. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the human race.
No. We're talking about way more than the human race. We're talking about reality.
Who's we then? Who's we in that situation that you just said?
I guess it's a great. Okay, so I don't
it's know, the human beings that are doing it.
How ready are you to talk about light beings and aliens? Do you think we're the only ones here? Right?
What do you think? Should we?
Let's do it.
Let's dive in. Please.
Let's do it. Okay.
Enlighten me, sir.
So the Hopi, the Iroquois, a lot of native people, they've always talked about insectoid time travelers.
What you just did a video on this.
Yeah.
Mind you, I haven't seen it, but I saw that you posted it about some insectoid alien race or
I'm not
something.
the first one even mentioned
What is going on with that?
Okay.
Does it relate to time travel?
Absolutely.
Please go on.
So a lot of people think that there are these aliens that aren't actually from another space, but they're just from another time.
Okay.
And they're interacting with us through light. And they're able to go back, and there's also subterranean Schumann Resonance Faraday zones, which are underground, which they're able to live inside of. And that they're actually working to engineer the human race. And so they're actually, at certain points in our history, they've helped us evolve the Hellian, Havelockian period, where we introduce some of the grammar that makes us different, like in the divine Egyptian and Greek times.
Yeah.
But also that the Gen C has been rewired. So
have you heard of the Majestic 12?
Yeah, absolutely. The MJ12 documents. Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of similar to what you're going on right now.
Right in the desert, right above where these caves are. Yeah. Totally. And so there's some ideas about it that it make perfect sense to me, that we're interacting with consciousness, not just ghosts or something.
Yeah.
But like these EVPs could be future beings, and this is one of the things about.
Could it be past beings also?
To only the limit of how long this machine has been running for, right?
Well, but that's going on the fact that we're the ones that turn the machine on.
Right.
Because what if the machine was created 50,000 years ago,
or more,
and there was a machine that was, or a million years ago, or a billion, whatever it is.
What if some of the stars are actually these machines?
What if our sun is the machine, and that is already running, and they're projecting into the future, so that's where we're perceiving it.
That's literally the Kardashev scale, is this idea that,
what is that?
Kardashev was a Soviet scientist who predicted that we were going to hit a point where we have zero entropy, and then from there we're going to pollinate the solar system.
Okay.
And that based on our progress as a species and civilization, where we are in terms of astronomy, other stars that have other Earth-like conditions, enough so that they could form life, they would also have done this sometime before us.
Wow.
And so there would be actually likely that there are aliens that exist, but have also gone extinct, some of them, and others that have moved forward with these backup plans for the reality.
I've seen some videos recently of military officers talking and explaining to their to the soldiers under them about the different species of aliens that we are in contact with.
Oh yeah,
and have told us about intergalactic wars.
Yeah,
and
interdimensional wars.
I mean, I was kind of like, what is this?
Well, you saw Ninja Turtles. I mean, it's all there. Right? Yeah, all of this stuff has been in the media forever, right? This idea that we're sending submarines to Saturn, and that we're fighting in Dimension X, and that we're bringing back Krang, the brain from the reptilian overlord of the Terminator. I mean, and all of this is the same.
You know what this makes me think of?
What?
Alex Jones was right on so many levels.
Yeah.
And he's talking about interdimensional space beings that are coming to fight us.
Well, all this stuff is stuff that people in the military have been talking about for 40 years. Have you heard of the 20 and Back program?
I laugh, but how that would suck if he was right about that.
Well, there's two sides of it. Make sure we go back to the 20 and Back program. But before we do, to be fair, in the 80s, in the 70s, during the Cold War, there were times when the CIA would find someone who was listening in because they had a really great radio, and they figured out that they were hearing something. They didn't know it was the CIA because it was encrypted, but the CIA knew they were picking up on it. And somebody saying that they heard something like that out in the middle of the place where the government base was would be bad for the Soviet Union to find out about.
Right.
So the best thing they could do is drug the guy and wear masks and make them think that they were crazy and seeing aliens.
Right. Okay.
And there's a number of operations where we've convinced people that have picked up on something they shouldn't have that they were seeing aliens. And that, this is a thing that's happened a number of times. That doesn't have anything to do though with all of these other events we're talking about.
Yeah.
So the 20 and Back program.
Yeah.
You got these guys in the 50s during the Korea War, million or so soldiers that have disappeared since the Philadelphia Project. Some of them have come back and they've said, I'm not myself anymore for a period of time. And then they come back and they're like, all of a sudden, I feel like myself again. Yeah. But I went to space. I was working for the government and I was in a submarine on Saturn or somewhere in space. And when every 20 years, they gave me a 20 and Back. So I'm now back 40 years or 60 years in the past, and I'm reliving my life for the second time, because simultaneously the original version of me is out somewhere in Dimension X working for the government to build the new world reset order. And that's
okay. Wait. Hold on. Wait. No, let me just take that in for a second.
Do it. Just breathe.
What?
Yeah.
So you're trying to tell me that there's not that you believe it. I don't know if
I'm actually more open to this than some of the crazier things I've heard.
Okay. So you're saying that you don't think that these people are just MK Ultra to no end?
I mean, as considering how much research I've done into MK Ultra, some of this stuff holds too much water.
Really?
Yeah, in terms of what I understand about physics and what we now know about, if you look at the Schumann experiment, and we start to see some of the, why is Elon going as above so below? Why is he trying to hit the Boring Company at the same time? There are multiple things that we're going in both directions in terms of holographic reality.
It is interesting that he is going in both directions.
I think dimensionality is the thing we're missing here, because so many people who believe in space think it's so far away that they're not going to deal with it when Oumuamua comes and swings around our space, you know?
Dude, there's too many people that believe that don't believe that space even exists.
Yeah, but it's weird.
I get told
because,
all the time when I post anything from NASA.
yeah. Well, a lot of NASA stuff is faked. That's not.
Well,
I mean, or engineered or manipulated.
Okay, and yes, there's CGI pieced together things.
But you're aware of that, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But we're living in space right now.
Still
this
exists.
is a space. We're on a planet.
I mean, I've looked at Saturn through a telescope with my own eyes, and I've seen it there. I've seen Saturn,
but it's so much more beautiful that way.
Well, but they claim that it was painted. Oh no, that's painted up there. Like,
yeah. Well,
so you think that I was looking through a telescope at a painting on the ceiling of the globe, like of the sky dome or whatever the heck they think it is? I don't. It's ridiculous.
There are some people that are not just they're not just beyond open-minded. They're skeptics to a degree of they don't believe anything ever, right?
Oh no, they believe what they believe.
They believe what they
very,
believe.
very strongly.
Yeah. But if you think about holographic metaphysics, quantum physics, what we understand about metricing dark matter, Michael Tabbitt, like the idea of the universe is a flat space-time foam that's expanding in both directions and also contrasting on itself, and it's a flat, like it's a holographic plane. That is essentially true, and so a lot of physicists are coming to the conclusion that we're experiencing depth of reality the same way a hologram sees laser from different dimensions of power density. So I mean, it's weird because some of it's true, and it's important because it's breaking down the perceptions we have about reality, which are wrong, because so much of science is not based on Socrates' method or Isaac Newton, or and it's based on David Hume, a philosopher who said empiricism was real. We've just experienced 100 years of acute schizophrenic drugs, people that see things wrong, and also machines that can't tell the difference between one photo of you and a cat. There are a bunch of experiments we can do to see that we're experiencing things in our own individual way, and that universally we can get a shared lens to tell us more about reality. So reality is shifting in our understanding of it.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised at all to find, though, that we're not the only consciousness that exists. And if you think about what we're, leading into mushrooms, consciousness takes all different forms.
We're talking about time travel now, right?
Yeah, but time again, like, let me just tie it all together for you. Like, if this machine, quote unquote, that exists is able to send electrons back in time based on curving, what's the straightest path is the shortest distance, right? So by curving, we're creating longer paths that can then be circumvented by these shorter paths. If something can expect the ion to arrive before it gets there, when we can do that with all sorts of ways, biology is one of the best ways. So
no, the curving isn't curving the path. It's curving. It's making the line that's the closest path shorter. So
right, but there's a longer path.
You
and
curve
a
it,
path.
then they're going still the shortest, straightest route.
But there's still longer paths, which are the more normal paths that are being taken by the majority of. So basically, there's a first runner, and the first runner gets there first and is waiting for when everyone arrives, and then that becomes what we consider the moment of now. But that moment of now is actually so wide that it's divided. The past is infinite, the future is infinite, the now is infinite. Like every single now is happening at the same time. And there's different structures of atoms that are defining that, but each one of those is happening in a simultaneous resonance. And those resonances are defined by the Schumann resonance, right? So we have underground this weird signal that we feel, the Schumann resonance, and nobody is exactly sure what it is, but we know that it changes because of the Oracle of Delphi Caves. We can measure the change in the Schumann resonance. So that's defining what we consider right now and how long what right now is. And Terence McKenna, also, he used to do all these studies on time wave theory. All of this comes back to the resonance.
It's all about the resonance, baby.
And mushrooms, yeah.
And mushrooms. What if, bear with me, what if mushrooms are the original,
go there,
minds, the I don't know.
Time traveling
mushrooms.
Technobiology.
Time traveling technobiology.
Because they can travel back to the moment that they were started.
Well, because they're ever present.
They're ever present.
Like the mycelial network. Have you seen the new Star Trek Discovery?
No.
Okay. The first season is about them understanding how to travel around the universe via the mycelial network.
Oh man, there you go.
I think you would like
There's
that.
a little disclosure in that.
Well, spoiler. I guess it's a little too late. I kind of just spoiled it, but
That's real though. Who cares if it's a spoiler? It's true.
well, you would love that. You should just. There's a few episodes. You can probably just get like type in Star Trek Discovery and then like a breakdown of the mycelial network of how they travel around.
You know,
it's pretty interesting.
there's grand sporia as the idea that there's a sneeze of mushroom that's out into space,
right?
And that's where all of the reason is because we have the same neural hormones that mushrooms have. They're communicating by sending an exact memory of perception from one part of their being to another.
Well, there is people say that it's conspiracy theories. Other people say that it's not. There's reports of NASA found mushrooms on Mars. They've been claiming this for a while. It hasn't been proven yet. They're just going on pictures from NASA. But we don't know.
Well, Paul Stamets has done an amazing research into how space is actually formed through internodal nets, the way mycelium is. So I kind of imagine, just because of the way mycelium works, that even if it evolved on its own, if things exist in carbon nets and silicon nets, it's a foregone conclusion.